We know the Bitcoin ETFs will eventually be amazing for Bitcoin, but one analyst is saying they're even better for altcoins now. Find out the reason why. Also, Jamie Dimon is in Davos, Switzerland, again calling Bitcoin a pet rock, but there is one sector of the cryptocurrency industry he highlighted that he is bullish on. Also, we got Dan from the Chart Guys joining us to break down all the charts of your favorite altcoins and Bitcoin. We got Seth from Mind Your Biz joining us a little bit later. We're going to talk about miner selling. We're going to talk about the Ethereum upgrade. And we're going to talk about what they're planning to do with our data once everything goes online. Don't miss today's show. It's going to be a good one. Let's get into it.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, stale information, repackage that thing up in a Bitcoin, boring.
Robin,
altcoins, a lot of hype.
Robin, we're that much closer to getting you to the Super Bowl, my friend.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How much closer? What do we need? 12 grand, right?
Well, we got 25% profits booked on our Solana trade we put in on Monday. So entry price was $95, and then we cashed out for a nice 25% gain on a Forex leverage trade. So closing price about $101.34. Let us know in the chat if you followed this trade and you put it in as well. And so we still have a couple open trades just to give you guys an update. So we did put in 3 trades total. The one we're in the green right now. So the rest of the markets are down, but we opened a long on Chainlink at about $15.27 with a liquidation price at $12.39. We are currently 23% in profit. And the Bitcoin one, our 8x leverage play, long play on BTC with an entry price of 42.6, liquidation price at 37.8. We are currently flat, but we are expecting a big move from Bitcoin as those Bollinger Bands continue to get tighter. But we know Bitcoin's been trading sideways. Altcoins, apparently they're getting ready to run because of the ETF. So this article from Be In Crypto, why Bitcoin ETF launches are good news for altcoins. Low volatility on Bitcoin is good for altcoins. Andrew Kang, the co-founder of crypto venture capital firm Mechanism Capital, said the Bitcoin ETF launch is good for Bitcoin, quote, but actually much better for altcoins. He said that the volatility for Bitcoin will fall now that the institutions are involved and gains will be slow and steady. The Goldilocks scenario for altcoins is when Bitcoin goes up slowly over the span of months and years, pretty much saying, right, what he's insinuating is this will result in continued comfort and allocation down the risk curve. So as Bitcoin becomes less of a volatile asset because of the ETF, because of institutions, people are still going to want those 10, 20, 30x gains, and they're going to move that money into altcoins. Do you agree, Robin? Or do you think that all this capital flowing in and all the, all the spotlight on Bitcoin is going to drive money away from the altcoins? As
Steady, sustained growth is what you want to see out of Bitcoin. Obviously, you don't want to have too steady. You don't want to crawl your way up. However, look at Bitcoin as the economy, right? What you don't want to see is the U.S. government, for example, as an economy. You don't want to see them print money out of the rear end, right? What we saw in 2020. I mean, yes, you'll get all asset classes, particularly securities and investments, skyrocketing because there's just a influx of capital and liquidity. But that's going to rebound to the downside. It's going to pull back. And so the same can be said for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like the main economy of the crypto markets. And so if you get a situation where Bitcoin rallies from 40,000 to 100,000 in a short period of time, there's going to be a mean ass pullback. And well, that's going to crash the price of altcoins. Sure, maybe some of them will come back, maybe some won't. But if you're looking for sustained steady growth in that portfolio, let's get Bitcoin to get to 50,000, then to 55,000, 60,000, have that happen over the course of a month or two. And that is still a pretty quick time window. And then in between the way up, have some consolidation periods. That's what we want to see. And what we're seeing out of Bitcoin right now is exactly what you want when it comes to altcoins. That's why I am sniping out some of these altcoins. I'm highlighting some of the projects I like. I see what I'm doing when it comes to altcoins is saying, hey, which altcoins right now have been outperformed by Bitcoin? As Bitcoin's going to go up here in the next few months with the halving around the corner in May, and there's going to be some consolidation periods, and the altcoins are going to rip. And so for me, which ones have underperformed against Bitcoin? And those are the ones that I'm identifying, especially if they got some upcoming roadmap, like rollouts, some big announcements. And so like Polygon V2 is a good example. That's about to go live. You have Chainlink with CCIP. Now Chainlink has performed pretty well up against Bitcoin, but Polygon is not. And so those are a couple of my examples on what I'm doing to pick up alts.
Speaking of examples, we got a couple of new emojis here paying homage to our man Jimmy and our friend Ashley here. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm good.
You're good?
How are you?
I'm great. You're sitting next to me today.
I am sitting next to you today.
Wow.
Wow.
Very observant.
Team up on
David.
Robin.
Very observant.
Thank you, Robin.
Camera's turned on. He's like, oh.
You know, Brooke actually brought up a good point. Said Ashley finally got her emoji, but can't use it.
I cannot use it.
Yeah, she's requesting a raise of $3 a month to pay for her membership, unless someone else wants to pay for it. But we're tapped out on funds. Sorry, guys.
Dang it. Dang it.
We got Dan from the Chart Guys joining us here in a quick minute. But first, I do want to go over some ETF stuff. The grayscale bleeding continues. But before we get into bleeding, grayscale bleeding, let's talk about what's not bleeding. And that is your business. Why? Because you're using Cam's Blue Wire technology. They're a channel sponsor. If you want to maximize your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity, there is one company that's going to help you scale, grow, maximize so you can focus on making money. That is Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Now, I mentioned grayscale bleeding 19,000 BTC sent to Coinbase this morning. $800 million. Robin, you said this was going to slow down. You lied. You lied to us. This is tweeted from James Van Stratton. 3 seconds before the opening bell rung, Grayscale added that 19,000 Bitcoin. Here's the thing, though, to the Coinbase OTC desk, right? So as long as you're getting inflows of similar amounts that are being bought OTC, you shouldn't see that big of an impact in price. Unless there's no demand, and then Coinbase is forced to throw some of that onto their order books.
Let's not forget. Now, it would slow down if the price of Bitcoin stayed steady, right? But we're down $1,000 from where we were yesterday. And this is a spot market. So Grayscale has to, on the back end, match the price of Bitcoin. So when the price goes down, they have to sell. And so Grayscale is continuing to sell. I had an interesting discussion yesterday on how you find an equilibrium on the price when it comes to these ETFs. So basically, you get a bunch of buy orders. You got to go buy the asset, the underlying asset, the Bitcoin on the back end. Doesn't happen in exactly real time, which you have a short-term time window to do so, but there is a delay, right? And when Grayscale's ETF went live, there was a discount. And so when they converted over the ETF when the ETF got converted over from the trust to the ETF, the discount had to be settled, right? So you were even right before the ETF, you were still getting a discount buying GBTC shares. It needed to match, right? So the price of GBTC shares, the trust didn't match the price of Bitcoin. And so the Grayscale holdings needed to sell off Bitcoin to realize the price to make it even, right? So that discount needed to go away. And so they needed to sell more and more Bitcoin to bring that price up. And so that's why we were seeing the big sell-off. On top of that, Bitcoin came out and the ETF 45,000. Well, it's at 42.5 now, down about 3 to 4% since the launch. And so 3 to 4% on the second largest wallet of Bitcoin, the largest active wallet. Obviously, you're going to have a lot more downward sell pressure. At some point, this does calm down, right? Especially if Bitcoin's got the hard support at 41,000. I think that you're going to see a situation where the selling is going to stop, and then the inflows on the other ETFs are going to bring the price back up. So, could there be a little more sell pressure? Sure. Is it going to tank the price below 40,000? I doubt it.
Again, these are hitting the OTC order books. So, and then also a couple more things on the CTF. BlackRock now holds 16,362 BTC, worth around $700 million. In this tweet from Eric Balkunis, let me put into context how insane $10 billion in volume is the first 3 days. There were 500 ETFs launched in 2023. Today, they did a combined 450 million in volume. The best one did 45 million, and many have had months to get going. The BlackRock ETF alone is seeing more activity than the entire 2023 ETF class. So again, how could you possibly say the ETF launch was not a success? Don't be so short-term sighted, right? Expand your vision, right? Stop thinking in 6 months and 1 year. Start thinking in 5 years, a decade, 20 years. Now, also, I see a lot of talk about Coinbase. We do have an update on the lawsuit with the SEC. We'll go over that. But first, we're going to go over the markets. And to help us do that, we got our man Dan joining us from the Chart Guys, as he does every Wednesday. Dan, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
We're excellent, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on, my friend. Taking a peek at the crypto markets here. So BTC 42.5. I did mention at the beginning of the show, we entered a long on Bitcoin. We were seeing those Bollinger Bands start to get really tight on the 4 hour. But this thing obviously has been trading sideways. What are you seeing on the Bitcoin chart? And then how much weight do you put on Bollinger Bands and volatility? And then what ways and tactics do you have to use when you do see that to kind of guess which way that price action is going to go when it finally breaks out?
Sure thing. So first off, we have previous supports acting as resistance, just in terms of indicators and moving averages here. So this is the daily chart. This blue line is the EMA 26. And you can see we held it. And so now we're back testing and currently rejecting. And so the question is going to be, is this a bear flag? And we know obviously 40,000 is the support level that we are watching at this point. And so we're either going to, right now the burden's on bulls. I like distinguishing burden on bulls or burden on bears to know who's got to prove something to me. And as far as in the short term, the bulls have to prove to us that they can hold 40,000 yet again. And so to do so, we got to get over this bounce high of 43.6 thousand. If we can't do that, then we are going to roll over and test that 40,000 psychological level. You can see these EMAs, they're on the verge of crossing bearish. And that's the first time that will happen. The last time we crossed bearish was maybe back in July. So there are things that are telling us things are shifting a bit. And again, just for me, bigger picture, if you want to really zoom out, I've said this before on this show, but the question for me is, are we going to see a longer term lower high and tighten up just like 2017, 2018, 2019? And the only way that's going to happen is if 40,000 brick wall of support turns into resistance. So it is a pretty important next, 2-3 weeks for me to see whether or not this 40,000 level can hold again, because again, I am open to a longer term tightening range and 2024 being a lot more boring than people think.
Right. I think a lot of people, ourselves included, we're expecting a little more price action from the ETF, but I think a lot of people undersold how much the grayscale sell pressure was going to impact the potential price of Bitcoin going up. And what you were showing, Dan, those are 6-month candles, correct?
Yeah, that long-term one. And I also just realized I didn't answer your question. So with regards, again, just to go over this again, 6 month, you go back here, 2017 breakout, 85% plus retracement, then a 65% bounce retracement. And right now it's very much in line with that, in the sense that, we retraced a similar amount, and the bounce retracement very similar to the golden pocket here. And so, again, you just have to keep in mind, it wouldn't be, if we're talking long-term, like you just mentioned, it wouldn't be a disaster to set that lower high and then another higher low, into the low 30,000s and tighten up into the second half of 2024. So again, it just depends on your time horizon, but it's a battle for 40,000 right now. And with regards to the Bollinger Bands, tight Bollinger Bands are the same thing. You know, I use price action. Constricting range tells us volatility is coming.
Right.
And many times I will not associate a direction with that break coming. It just tells me be prepared. A volume and a volatility spike are coming. But if I do want to, you know, have a bit of an edge and try and attribute a direction with the break or the eventual break, it's really just prevailing trends overall. So, you know, the longer term time frame for Bitcoin right now is still just fine for the bulls. That's why that $40,000 level matters so much, because if we lose it, the longer term starts to shift a little bit. But if we hold it, again, you want a simple statement. If 40,000 is support, bulls don't have anything to worry about whatsoever.
Awesome.
I was going to say the S&P 500 down a little bit today, or the broader markets are, and we're seeing a situation where the S&P 500 is close to matching its all-time highs in the past. And now we always bring up the correlation between the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 and Bitcoin's chart. And I'm seeing that the S&P 500 is near all-time highs, but yet Bitcoin not quite so much. Still a good $23,000 away from its previous all-time highs. I know they don't sync up quite perfectly, but only about a month away from all-time highs in one market. I think Bitcoin hit all-time high in November of 2022. S&P 500 hit all-time high in December, and we're pretty similar on the index fund, but not quite so much on Bitcoin. Do you think that there's room to catch up now that Bitcoin's trading with the ETF, or is there any correlation that you're putting your eye on here?
It's definitely possible. I would, you know, people will push back if you use the word correlation. I like sentiment. You know, the sentiment for the broader stock market definitely matters with regards to crypto. I know it influences my decisions. If I have confidence that the broader stock market is strong, I'm more willing to throw money around in crypto and cannabis stocks and the higher risk, higher reward little corners of the markets. But bigger picture, you know, we can look at Bitcoin divided by, let's go the S&P 500 and just see, you know, relative strength or weakness. If this chart's going up, it means that Bitcoin is stronger than the S&P 500. And we could see, you know, recently, this is the daily time frame, it's just chopping around a whole bunch. You know, we're pretty much doing the same. If we're going sideways on this chart, it means there's not a ton of difference. We're doing very similar things. So for me, honestly, the dollar is something to be keeping an eye on as well. We've talked about the dollar a few times when I've been on, and you know, the dollar has been bouncing the last few weeks, and we know that, you know, we had a bearish period here when the dollar was ripping, and then of course the stock market's really strong here, and crypto's really strong here, and now it's shifting a little bit, where we just saw the S&P 500 has been sideways for a few weeks, and Bitcoin, as we know, obviously has been pulling back for the last week. So definitely want to keep an eye on the dollar, because there are only two paths with which where the dollar is going. We are either going to, this is the 3-month time frame. So again, longer term, we're either going to confirm a 3-month downtrend, which is what you want to see if you are a crypto or stock market bull, or we're going to hold that low. And so that low is very important, bigger picture into the end of this year, or I should say into the, you know, the first half of this year. So just keep an eye on the dollar. Just again, one little piece of the puzzle. But just to tie back to your question real quick, I would not be looking at Bitcoin personally and just say, well, that's not enough for me to say that, you know, the S&P 500 got close to the all-time high, so Bitcoin's going to head close to the all-time high. I think we hit, you know, that peak euphoria in the short term. Everybody pumped about the ETF, and, you know, we just have to shake some people out at this point and see some, you know, look at the monthly time frame for Bitcoin, and we just went over the last 4 months straight up to 97% move in 4 months. And so again, you know, if you want to talk longer term time frame, a pullback and a monthly high or low, that's part of what uptrends need to see. So I'm definitely very open to the possibility that we are heading into the 30s. And, you know, it's the kind of thing where you can just establish your clear game plan around 40 right now, because aggressive bulls playing off 40, that's perfectly fine and acceptable. And, you know, once we lose 40, that can be a light bulb going off for a lot of people saying, okay, this is going to take a bit longer than we thought.
So you're saying we're not going straight to 100,000?
No, we're not.
Damn it.
I'm not on board with that. I've been on the cautious side of things, and it's just honestly because of known news. I have a really hard time going, bullish when there's no news. Leading up to it, absolutely. Buy the rumor. I mean, you heard it all 100 times before, but just the market is so good at pricing things in. And yes, short term the ETF was priced in. Long term, I'm absolutely on board with you. You can't price in massive billions of dollars of inflow. So now it's just a question of over the long term, how does that play out?
Right. Dan, can we take a look at SEI? SEI. A fairly new project, is up 10% on the day. On the week, it is up 27%. We did a deep dive review of this project. So if you watching, if you want to learn more information about what SEI does and is and the potential, go watch that video. But what is price action looking like on SEI? And if someone in the chat is has watched that video and wants exposure for the first time, is this a good place to get in at, or are we expected to see a pullback to a certain region sometime soon?
I love the clarity here. That you had this one day where you have this very wide range, and then look how long we traded within it. And that's just imagine the supply and demand scale just balancing out, slowly finding that equilibrium where you hold support, reject from resistance, hold support, just tighten up. And we did get a bull break of this tightening range. But as far as going long here, I wouldn't want to go long just under the highest level that we've seen yet. You want to long off support, not just under resistance. So I would say, this chart looks great. We're holding daily EMA 12. We're holding the higher lows. There are no red flags. The most important support for me right now is 64 cents. Anything above that keeps the daily higher lows going. Zooming into the 4 hour, we just built a nice base there. So there's a support at 76 cents on the 4 hour. But I would need to be playing off support essentially. So, if I want a long here, the next long I'm looking for is, and it might be after a breakout. I might miss that initial move up over 88, and I just have to accept that this is not the good risk reward spot to go long right under that resistance. But an aggressive bull is going to look long for a 4 hour higher low. A patient bull is going to wait for a daily higher low. But again, if you're already in, this looks just fine. There are no red flags whatsoever.
And it kind of looks like on the 4 hour, we might be seeing a cup and handle start to form, huh?
It gets a little junky in there, but I see what you're saying just as far as resistance, come back here, fail resistance, and then try for that handle there. So yeah, I can agree that the psychology of the setup is there.
Awesome. And then just a quick question, Dan. We're looking at this chart, SEI. It's only been around for 6-7 months, a year. How do you trade a coin like this? If someone's a trader watching and they're looking to trade a newer project, are there any words of advice, seeing as there's not a lot of price history or not a lot of long-term big support or resistance levels? Is it more lucrative to go ahead and trade these assets, or is it more risky?
Both. The risk and reward are directly correlated, where something has more risk, it has more reward. And something really boring like a mutual fund has low risk and low reward. And so you have to accept, if you want more reward potential, that it's going to be riskier as well, which is why having a stop loss nearby is so key. Playing off of these supports, you can have a level right nearby and say, all right, well, if we lose the daily higher lows, I'll stop out and reassess the situation. And that allows you to know exactly how much you stand to lose if you do stop out. So anything that's near blue sky breakout definitely is worth extra attention, as it has the greatest potential for significant follow through. But rather than chasing, again, I'll say it every episode, back burners. Last time I was on, we talked about, one of you asked me, ICP, if I want a longer term entry, what are we looking at? And I said, well, on the weekly, I need some weekly consolidation. I'd say next 4 hour oversold conditions. And then we hit 4 hour oversold for the first time and bounce 40%. That allows you to position, even if you're not a skillful trader. Let's say you're in at 11, you're out half at 12. Now your stop's under 10. You have nothing to worry about. You're either in a long-term position that thrives, or you stop out break even. So you've got to utilize the shorter term oversold conditions for making entries in better risk reward spots, selling partial, sticking a stop under the low at that point. And oftentimes, as we know, in our strongest markets, our shorter term oversold conditions mark the longer term higher lows. And so this was a really nice example of 4-hour oversold. And here's another one where now on the daily chart for ICP, we're getting real tight. And we know that volatility is coming here towards the end of this week once this tight range breaks one direction or the other.
Awesome. Dan, thank you so much, man. I'm going to say this every time you join us, but we love having you on. Love your insight. Guys, we did pin the Chart Guys YouTube channel to the top of the chat. Go subscribe. Go follow Dan on Twitter as well. And we look forward to having you on again next week, brother. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. All right, man. Yeah. Dan's been with us for a while, man.
We like Dan.
Dan Forrest, about to cross that 40,000 subscriber threshold. It's almost there.
Almost.
Question. Have you subscribed yet? If not, get us that much closer. And then also hit the like button. 70 likes. Over 210 people watching.
Wow.
That means 1/3 of you have liked and done your job. The other 2/3, well, what happened? I don't know. Well, you can fix it. Fine. Hit the like button. Also, if you are new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got a couple of familiar faces. Also, some new people. To those of you, Renee, Crypto Radar, Lisa C, Clay D, Cleverton C, Northwest Crypto, and Mark Dutch. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Mark Dutch, let me ask you a question. When you invite someone out to dinner, do you go Dutch or do you pay for them?
You are actually so funny.
Why is that funny?
You know what Dutch reminds me of? You ever go to Dutch Bros? That's what I am. Good drinks.
Too much sugar.
You are the king of sugar.
Exactly.
You want a diet?
That's what I'm saying. Coming from the guy who just eats sugar nonstop. George is in here. What's up, George? Said, who loves cock and Kula? Great tokens there, guys. Great.
All
all right.
when you put the two together, right? In a balanced portfolio.
Wow.
Yeah. Portfolio? I mean, folio.
Yeah. Just stop. Just stop. Coinbase lawsuit. The SEC is getting absolutely destroyed. They're getting destroyed in court, and I'm here for it. So this is from Eleanor Tourette, which has done an absolutely amazing job covering this from top to bottom. So just briefly, there are 4 potential outcomes from today's proceedings. 1, the judge denies Coinbase's motion to dismiss, and they go to discovery. 2, the judge grants Coinbase's motion with prejudice, which means the entire case is dismissed. 3, grants the motion without prejudice, and the SEC gets a chance to amend their complaint. Or 4, they grant the motion with respect to the claims of the 13 crypto tokens, but denies with respect to the staking service. The case would then move on to discovery, focused only on the staking service and whether it qualifies as an investment contract. Couple of updates. She tweeted this exchange. The SEC lawyers said these 12 or 13 tokens are computer code, to which the judge interrupts and says, sorry, but isn't that kind of what your friends at the back table, referring to Coinbase, are saying and wondering what we're doing here? The SEC says, yes, Your Honor, and I have a point and I'll get to it. And the note, the SEC lawyer cites Judge Rakoff's ruling in the Terra case that the ecosystem surrounding a token is what makes it a security. The judge then also referenced Bill Hinman in connection with the position that a token in and of itself is not a security, saying, wasn't it Mr. Hinman who said, someone from your shop that's no longer there? We have this as well. When Judge Falia asked the SEC lawyer whether Bitcoin was effectively currency as it is a replacement for fiat, he avoided a direct answer and said, quote, what makes Bitcoin different is that it does not have an ecosystem where you can buy these other tokens for their whole ecosystem and the totality of the inducement. So saying because Bitcoin doesn't have a DeFi ecosystem, pretty sure it's got ordinals, no ordinal token and
Lightning
some
Network.
BRC20 tokens. But hey, who am I, you know? And then finally, Judge Falia asked the SEC why she shouldn't listen to Senator Lummis, who says that Falia should dismiss the case. She's not just a random senator. She's someone deeply involved in the space. Why is she wrong? The SEC lawyer says a senator's opinion shouldn't be able to overrule 90 years of securities laws. Funny, because these are the same senators that passed these laws. Falia then addresses the Howey test, addressing it in the way Lummis portrayed it. Quote, we've had a good run. We've had 90 years where these securities laws have been able to apply to these markets. But now we have something new. I do want to add Judge Falia is also the judge that presided over the Uniswap case, which she completely dismissed. So, SEC, are they going to take another L? I pray to God they do. I want to get, before I ask Rob's opinion, I want to get the opinion of our second guest. We got Seth, Mind Your Biz, joining us. Seth, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks so much for having me back on the channel. Always a pleasure. I hear it's always great weather in Sin City, and now I get to experience it virtually. So I'm stuck in the frozen tundra.
Yeah.
Are you in the
Are you feeling the heat right now? Because we're bringing it, bro.
Dude, every day. Here's the thing. Nobody works harder than Sin City Crypto to bring that heat every single day.
We didn't hear what you said, but I'm sure you said that David is the better co-host than Robin, and if it wasn't for David, this channel would go down. Thank you so much for those kind words, Seth. We appreciate it.
I think your audio...
Seth, so I believe something happened with the audio, my friend. We're going to work to fix that. While we work to fix that, we're going to watch this video. Also, if you're new here, say hello. We'll drop an all back at you. Make sure you like the video. Let's check the like stats here. Only 107, well, that's not bad. 212 viewers, 107 likes. We can do better, guys. We can do better. We had this from our friend, Jamie Dimon. The man is in Davos in Switzerland. And, well, here's what he had to say.
Cryptocurrencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think if a cryptocurrency has an embedded smart contract in it, and that we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing things.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock, the Bitcoin or something like that. And so on the Bitcoin, there's, first of all, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. There are use cases, AML, fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, sex trafficking. Those are real use cases, and you see it being used for hundreds, maybe $50 or $100 billion a year for that. That is the end use case. Everything else is people train among themselves. So
speculate.
Yeah. Now, okay. Now, my last statement, the last time I ever talk about Bitcoin, is I defend your right to do Bitcoin. I think, it's okay. I don't want to tell you what to do. So my personal advice is you don't get involved. But I don't want to tell any one of you what to do. It's a free country.
What do you make of BlackRock? What do you make of the other firms, the BlackRocks of the world that obviously, and Larry Fink changed his view of this, obviously. Yeah. And maybe he changed his view because you think he genuinely believes in Bitcoin or believed it because he thinks that there's a marketplace for it and he wants to be part of that market. But what do you think of there's about a dozen big financial companies, Fidelity included.
Number one, I don't care. So just please stop talking about this shit. And I don't know what he would say about blockchain versus currencies that do something versus Bitcoin that does nothing. And maybe that's not different than me. But, this is what makes a market. People have opinions. This is the last time I'm ever going to state my opinion.
Gold really didn't do anything.
Thank God. Thank you.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh? What makes a market? People have opinions. This is the last time I'm ever going to state my opinion.
Gold really didn't do anything either.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins,
they go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21?
Wow, this is the man who runs one of the largest banks in the world. So, Seth, what would it take? What are the odds that Satoshi comes back in 2140 and says, psych, 21 million, we're going to double that. It's a double multiplier if we mine all 21 million Bitcoin. What are the odds of that ever happening? Because I've heard this a couple times. Like, hey, how do you know that they're not going to change it and expand the supply?
He can't change it. He can't change it.
No, I know that, but I want an explanation for maybe the people who don't understand.
Yeah, so let's do one of a couple things. First off, microphone test, 1, 2. Audience, if you can hear me, smash the thumbs up. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do to let me know that the microphone is working. Smash thumbs up, and then we can move forward. But here's my thinking first off. David, Robin, thank you so much for having me back on the channel. Nobody does it like Sin City Crypto, and it's always a great pleasure to be invited back. Thank you. But with Satoshi holding that supply of Bitcoin right now, what people don't think about is he also holds a supply of all of the forks, right? So your Bitcoin Cash, your Bitcoin SV, your Bitcoin Gold, your Bitcoin Diamond. He owns that exact proportion of every fork of Bitcoin too. So yeah, it would be massively disruptive. What does that mean in practical terms? It means that when we have a hardware wallet, I'm just going to use one example here, and we are holding keys, it means we just control a couple of account key pairs. And I know you guys have done great explainers for your community on what it means to hold crypto keys, but the fact that there are all these forks that happen of the Bitcoin code base doesn't revoke Satoshi's keys. They stay active and in effect regardless of the number of forks that happen from Bitcoin. So if Satoshi did just either come back to life or just reawaken, right, in the community, yeah, it'd be massively disruptive because it means he would be capable of not only moving the Bitcoin chart, but every other derivative chart based on forks. So you're not just your Bitcoin caches, but everything else that started with Bitcoin as a primitive token supply and used it as an airdrop by forking. So he could take he, she, they, whatever, probably the NSA, let's be very real, or the CIA. They could just really cause problems in terms of the markets. Now, it's very likely that Satoshi has either burned those keys, gotten rid of those keys, placed them someplace that's really difficult to get a hold of, or that Satoshi, was Hal Finney and that those keys died with him. Very, very possibly. And I think people worry about that maybe over time. What maybe we could place some emphasis on is that there are ways to crack these key pairs. And there are groups that have been interested in cracking Satoshi's key pairs for quite some time. And added to that is the threat of quantum computing. And I know people say, oh, don't worry about quantum computing too much. What I'll say is quantum computing is here in a way that most people don't understand. And it's already functioning to a level that most people wouldn't believe. A little bit like AI just 3, 4, 6 months ago. People didn't believe that AI was already as powerful as it was. And as a result, we saw all this new code be developed with AI, all these new image processing tools, deepfake tools, all kinds of other tools made with AI. And we're already so deep into AI and deepfakes that the average person can't tell anymore. Like, Pandora's box is open. That already happened. Quantum computing is in a very similar state, and that we're already past 100 qubit quantum computing systems. And it's not that the consensus of Bitcoin will be under threat, but the keys of characters like Satoshi, they are under threat if quantum computing decrypts a lot of the elliptic curve digital signatures that or any of the cryptography that Bitcoin uses, but in particular the elliptic curve signatures that are used for key pairs, right? So to zoom back out again, all that is to say that it's very unlikely that Satoshi himself, herself will move any of the supply, but we are going into a not too distant future where quantum computing is a real threat to those keys, and it would look like Satoshi moved those coins. So I don't know, man. On the one hand, like, I hate to agree with Jamie Dimon, but I kind of do on some level. There are some risks. They're very minimal, but there are some risks. Yeah.
So is there anything because this is a little bit out of my realm of expertise, right? Is there something that the miners would have to or could potentially do if we ever get to that point? I see someone in the chat said quantum computing can be fixed with SHA-256 with one update to SHA-512. I don't know what that looks like or what that means.
Or could you just simply expand the because I know right now the Bitcoin seed phrase comprises about 2,000 words. If you added extra words to a seed phrase, perhaps you open it up to 10,000 words. Obviously, the English dictionary is a lot larger than 2,000. Could we up the factor by 10? I'd imagine that'll give you another 100-year runway. Or maybe, I know that there's a 12 or 24 word seed phrase. Could we see more of the larger seed phrase word? I don't know. That's just
sure. What I would love to do is, I wish I had a whiteboard right now. Sorry, guys, I don't have a whitebord ready, but I'd love to whiteboard this because this concept, like you're saying, doubling the word count for the acceptable seed phrases, right? In BIP 39 or Bitcoin's seed phrase or mnemonic algorithm for making keys. That sounds good at first until you realize that whether it's 248 words, which is the current total pool of words you could use for your seed phrase, or it's 10,000 or it's 1 million, it all boils down to the final entropy of the master public key or private key. And that master private key, here's something that'll kind of maybe it'll blow some minds right now. Yeah, you have the option of using an 18 or a 24 word seed phrase today on most hardware wallets. I mean, like whatever the not the BC fault behind me because they don't use seed phrases. Great device, but they don't use seed phrases. But like the Keystone that I have in my hand right now, I could put in a 24 word seed phrase, but here's kind of the trick there. Most people don't realize this, that regardless of whether I use 24, 18, or 12 words, it uses cryptographic math. It uses a mathematical operation, a one-way operation similar to hashing, to turn that into the master private key. And it doesn't care whether I use 12 words, 18, or 24. So anybody in the audience who already knows this stuff is figuring it out. They're like, oh, wait a second. So that means that the total entropy or the randomness of your private key, right, your master private key, is no more secure with 24 words than it is with 12. And the same is going to be true of the word list. If we expand it from 2,048 up to 10,000 or a million or more, it really depends in Bitcoin's core code. It really depends on how complex, how much entropy, right, or randomness we put into the master key, because it'll always be distilled down with that mathematical one-way operation into that master key. You could choose the exact same word from the seed phrase list, right, and have that be the entropy for your master key, but it always distills down to a master private key. So we've got a couple of issues there, and that's the elliptical curve signatures that it creates. When people like in the audience, they say, oh, just move it from SHA-256 to SHA-512. We're fine. Well, consensus is not what's at risk right now with quantum computing. To be very clear, there are no like quantum ASICs that Bitmain is trying to develop in China right now. But if quantum computing gets really good at decrypting key pairs or decrypting a lot of the encryption that we currently use on the internet, we have massive problems. Frankly, Satoshi's wallets are the least of our concern. We should be more worried about, and Jamie Dimon should be more worried about, the security of online banking, right, at retail banks or at business banks. Because if quantum computing gets that powerful, that's what will be on the chopping block first. And a close second, maybe in parallel, will be nation state secrets like, the nuclear codes or our public infrastructure for the electrical grid or for, water and other necessities that we need to function in a modern society. Those things would be at risk with quantum computing at the same time that Bitcoin's key pairs are at risk. So
what you're saying is that we should
I
pool,
agree. There's an outside.
We should pool resources together, get a bunker. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what Mark Zuckerberg's doing.
If you don't already have one,
Vegas is a good spot for a bunker,
means.
man. Loose soil, cheap land, tons of
Land is not cheap.
In Vegas, it is, or outside of Vegas, it is. You can get some a little
Do you have to
desert
dig
patch.
on top of the toxic waste deposits or next to them?
Yeah, you come on down.
Well, you
You
gotta
can
remember,
use-
Nevada was testing grounds for.
So you use the decaying uranium to
bro.
power the
Okay,
bunker,
what
right?
are you talking
I'm just
about
saying.
To
The
power your quantum
Voyager
computer, you
spacecraft
use
does it.
to fight the machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not a quantum. We're not a freaking petroleum, whatever palladium.
Petroleum, yes, that's gasoline.
Petroleum.
I
Yeah.
know what it
Petroleum.
is. Anyways,
Didn't make
great
it.
breakdown,
Yeah.
Seth. Thank you for that. I want to share another video.
Okay,
So obviously we know the World Economic Forum is having their yearly meeting in Davos, and here's an interesting little 25-second clip talking about when everything goes digital, what it's going to look like.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
What is this
Let me ask you
mysterious
I'm
Tool-
concerned about the total carbon footprint of these people in Davos. I would really like them all to reduce their personal carbon footprints down to zero. However they manage to do that, I don't care.
I think every person that is on stage with the keynote speech probably flew in on a private jet.
Yeah.
And
Right. There's
obviously he's this technology that he's talking about there is CBDCs, right? I mean, are we all in agreement there?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants. I mean, these guys, they've been trying to track and trace more of the population for so many years. It's been part of like a fundamental part, right, of their charter, right? At the WEF has been to track and trace more of humanity so they can control more people's behavior, right? And then of course markets too, right? If you're asking like, hey, follow the money, where do you know why? Why would you want to control more of the population? Because you then control all the value, right? So whether it's the means of production, whether it is monetary supply, or it's other commodities, real estate, anything else you might be interested in, it's good to be the king, right? It's good to be on top. And if these guys are the steering committee for the entire world, they're on top.
I wanted to ask you, so you're pretty big into privacy. You know, we're assuming we're going to get CBDCs. We're already talking about carbon footprint, and you can see a dystopian world where you know, they track your carbon footprint. Oh, you've had too many carbon emissions. You can't drive your car, and then or you can't access your bank account. Any quick like tips or whatever that you have for people to, if they want to keep some information private, how to do that as we enter into the new age of CBDCs and digital identity and having everything tracked online?
Yeah, absolutely. First things first, if you haven't ever used a VPN before, consider getting a commercial VPN subscription. It's very easy for most people to just install an app on your phone and on your laptop, and then you have a VPN that will start to change your internet patterns as they're observed by third parties, including, you know, some of the partners of our lovely WEF. They have all kinds of partners that are interested in tracking your online activity. A VPN is a very easy first step. Another very easy first step for most people is changing your browser. If you're on Google Chrome or if you're on Firefox, you might consider even just something as simple as Brave browser. It's not my favorite. I'll be the first to admit it's not my favorite. I'm a little more nerdy than that. I like things that are a little more involved, but Brave is extremely easy to get into and then to optimize a little bit for enhanced privacy online. With those two steps, more of what you do online is hidden from outside observers, right? So they can't track and trace your online activity if you're using a VPN and a browser that decreases your fingerprinting, your data fingerprinting online. Those two steps, first thing. If you're into crypto, though, you have to go a little bit further. You have to be absolutely sure that you improve your security. It takes one hack to get your wallet drained. It takes one bad smart contract to destroy your portfolio, like liquidated, gone, no chargebacks, you're done, right? You already know what the risks are of crypto, but the point is you want to improve your security there. So if you're not using, for example, a hardware wallet, I don't care which hardware wallet you use. I really don't. Yeah, I'm an affiliate for some of them, but I don't care. I want more people to be more secure holding their own crypto. We need to set a standard so that we don't get these jokers in Davos making recommendations to get rid of non-custodial crypto, right? Crypto that we hold. So we have to normalize that. Get a hardware wallet. I don't care which one it is. Just get a hardware wallet. And then when you're using smart contract networks like Ethereum and the wallets that work with them, like MetaMask, add what's called a private RPC. And here's a website that your audience, the Sin City crypto community, can use to get a more private crypto, to use their crypto more privately. That is chainlist.org. Chainlist.org will help you replace the stock RPC inside of MetaMask, or the way that your wallet connects to Ethereum and Polygon and AVAX and all these networks that you use with MetaMask. You can replace the stock one with an RPC that allows your transactions to hit the network privately. And in some cases, it decreases MEV and front running. So actually also makes your transactions cheaper and doesn't let anybody else just middleman you and grift off of your transactions on those networks. But those three steps, I think, are the most important, right?
Great insight, man.
Improving your online privacy generally, right? Browser and VPN, getting a hardware wallet, and then improving the security of your software wallets by using private RPCs.
Great info, man. Yeah. I think this is something that not a lot of people talk about, and not a lot of people have the expertise to talk about it. So we appreciate you sharing that with our community. Now, I did drop the chainlist.org website in the chat. I do want to go over this piece of news from Ethereum. The Ethereum Den Kun upgrade goes live, but fails to finalize on the testnet. This is a merge between the Cancun update and the Den something. Anyways, Ethereum's much-awaited upgrade went live on the Gurley testnet earlier Wednesday, but failed to finalize in expected time. The issue was due to a bug now patched in the Prism nodes. Again, this is a little bit above my pay grade, but Denkun's implementation of Gurley is part of a 3-phased approach to eventually enacting a new, less costly method of storing data on the main Ethereum blockchain. The next phase will happen sometime in the next few weeks with an upgrade to the Sepolia testnet, followed by the Whole Sky testnet. Rob, I'm going to ask you first. Is this a black eye on Ethereum with the little hiccup they got? And what's your prognosis on Ethereum? Are they taking too long with their upgrades and doing something as simple as making the transactions just a little cheaper, while we see layer ones like Solana and Avalanche and Sei and Sui really already have on the foundation level what Ethereum is trying to get to? Do you think Ethereum has a real chance of getting left behind if they don't start speeding up some of these like super basic upgrades?
No, I mean, look no further than old tortoise in the race, Bitcoin. It's not transacting any faster than it was 10 years ago than it is today, but it's still yet king. And Ethereum is king in layer one smart contracts. It's king in DeFi. It's king in NFTs. If you think that it's going to all of a sudden get replaced by a competition for the simple fact that other chains that have a smaller ecosystem process faster, you're sadly mistaken. Also, not to mention, people like paying a premium, right? You like women
I don't like $30 for
women like designer clothes, high-end purses, because it costs a lot.
But no one wants to pay $10 for gas a gallon.
Well, Rob, you know, Richard Hart really likes those things too. Just wanted to say.
Spicy.
Yeah, but the thing is
He has
that
been seen in a room with a woman before too, so they're not the same thing.
There's an allure to something being a little bit more expensive, right? You see a coffee
Not
shop.
gas fees.
No,
there's no allure to saying $10 a gallon on gas versus $5.
Human
I'm sorry, bro.
Psychology, bro.
That is the dumbest. You are
okay.
I'm sorry, bro.
Nightclubs that have zero line. Okay, a nightclub that has no line at all in the front, and then there's a nightclub that has a ton of people waiting outside. Which one is going to be more popular?
That's like saying no. The better example is you're passing by two real estate brokerages. One of them takes a 3% premium over the other one. Do you really want to pay 3% more to your real estate broker? No.
Yeah,
even if it's a $10 million property,
it makes everything in the ecosystem more scarce, man.
When did you become such an Ethereum maxi? That's what I want to know.
Look, man,
you are defending high gas fees.
Okay, Cancun, whatever you want to call it. Listen, first of all, they roll things out slow. If you're all of a sudden shocked and surprised, who cares? The big thing you need to worry about is EIP 4844.
That is this. Proto-dank sharding. This is the first step to that.
Oh, is that the name?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. 4884. That's proto-dank
well,
sharding.
it's coming anyway, so shut up.
Okay. Listen, bro. You do really good analogies, but that one was terrible. What
do you mean? There is a premium on exclusivity.
It's not exclusivity. Sure. Can you argue there's a premium on liquidity? Sure. But
okay, why was Uniswap so much more popular than
DYDX
than
just
PancakeSwap? Than PancakeSwap?
Well,
because you knew it was more expensive to get in, and because it was more expensive to get in, it was the go-to chain because hey, it was a little bit more scarce. It was a little harder to build. And yes, you could launch 1 million projects on the BNB Smart Chain, but we saw in the last bull market that the top performing altcoins that were sold on decentralized exchanges came from Uniswap. And there's a reason for it. It wasn't because because there was a lack of competition for being faster. I'm just saying that whether you want to admit it or not, projects like to have a higher barrier for entry when it comes to finance. It ups the price. The poor people are priced out. It's just the fact of the matter, bro. I mean, you can sit here and be like, well, I want an NFT for a penny. Good luck reselling that thing. You know what? What's gonna have good resale value?
Sorry for the interruption. I'm gonna agree with Rob on that. You can see the smart contracts and you can see the new launches in terms of token activity on Ethereum. And you're right. Ethereum, even with meme tokens and like so-called shitcoins launching on these networks, the number of smart contracts that launch on Ethereum that are not rug pulls is a few percentage points higher than on BSC or the other ones. Like so the low fee chains, they do create a problem where it's a slumlord problem, right? You attract tenants that can only afford so much. They bring in influence that will only let you grow so far. You can never gentrify the area. So that's kind of true on those networks too. And you see it in the smart contracts. But what I'm going to say as far as like fees is that nobody's complaining about the low fees on Solana, and they're still getting new token launches there that are hitting 9 figures in market cap.
Yep.
So on the one hand, it seems true on Ethereum versus say BSC, but Solana kind of shatters those expectations. ICP is gearing up to do a similar thing, and same with Cosmos Hub, right? With them re-architecting some of the gas fees in Cosmos Hub, but it's a weird thing where in Ethereum, you're right. There's kind of the sort of the prestige, the sheen of there being more liquidity, or the promise of there being more liquidity, deeper pockets, right, of liquidity in that ecosystem. So more projects launch there, more serious projects launch there. And then, like you're saying, the high fees, they don't deter high rollers, right? If anything, like you're saying, decreases competition because they know they're playing a big boys game. If gas fees come out to $1,000 total between all of your DeFi transactions to get your portfolio into the position that you want, you're right. That's not chump change for the average retail participant. They're not going to burn $1,000 of their own portfolio to try to get ahead. They don't know that game. So I do agree with you, Rob. Actually, there's a strong logic.
You hear that, David?
There's a reason there's a lot more Walmarts than there are higher end retail stores or higher end grocery stores. I'll just leave it at that.
No, you're right, but there's a reason that the higher end grocery stores and retailers have better margins, right? And that their clients don't care that they have higher margins, right? So Walmart's earning pennies on the dollar for every bit of transaction volume going through versus say even just your Nordstroms, right? Like a kind of more typical retail outlet. So I agree, but Rob won me over. He's kind of right. He's got
you mentioned Solana. Just a quick side note here. Solana's phone. So the Saga 2 is coming out. In just the first 24 hours, sales and referral numbers have exceeded all expectations. Fire emojis were blown away by the response. And
careful with the emojis. The SEC might come after you.
So, yeah, man. You heard about the Solana phone, the Saga phone too?
We did a video on it this morning.
Yeah, this is where for me I kind of take umbrage. I need to quick mic check. Also, is this okay? Levels are good.
You're good.
Are you a Samsung or iPhone kind of guy?
He's Samsung, bro.
Me?
Yeah. He's Android.
Samsung or iPhone?
He's Android.
Oh, neither. First off, iOS is such a kick to the groin, man. I can't stand using
over
iOS.
there. What are you using?
Nextel.
I mean, yeah, literally. That is my daily driver is an encrypted walkie-talkie. It's not encrypted. Yeah, encrypting. Yeah, public airwaves is illegal. But my daily driver mobile phone is a Pixel device that I've reflashed with Graphene OS. And if it wasn't that, it would be something like an LG or an off-brand, not a Samsung or an iPhone. And I would run Lineage OS.
Rocco is crying.
I'm that guy.
In the producer desk here. Rocco is a big Samsung guy. I don't know.
It's okay, man. I've seen how the sausage is made. So I used to work with the global master trainer team out of Dallas, and I've seen too much of how they make stuff. They make great components. There was a time when 80% of your iPhone was literally made by Samsung if you just cracked open the case. But there's user experience. People have their creature comforts that they like, applications and stuff. And for me, one of the creature comforts that I like is knowing that the person who made the handset isn't spying on me. So I don't use iPhone or Samsung.
That's fair. I'm just a degenerate, and I just have an iPhone. We do scan our faces.
Not mad at you.
They have a bunch
Phones
of
are great,
biometric data. Seth, always a pleasure having you on, man. Guys, if you want more Seth, we did pin his YouTube channel in the comment section, so make sure to go subscribe. We appreciate you joining us, my friend. Always a pleasure talking with you. I learn something every time you come on the show, and that's part of the reason why we love bringing you on, because a lot of the things that you are a specialist in, a lot of that stuff is way over my head, and so I'm assuming for a lot of the people watching too, and so that's why we always try to bring on quality guests that can bring you different perspective from different verticals that we might not be experts in. And so thank you for that, brother. And we look forward to having you back on again, man.
Thank you guys. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you having me on. Even though today kind of kicked me in the culo, appreciate you having me on the channel. Shout out to the meme tokens out there. You can make it. Not everyone can make it.
Just don't launch on Binance. Just don't launch on Binance Smart Chain. Pay the $100 gas fee. Thank you, Seth. Take care, bro.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Oh man, guys, let's check in on our trades here. So we are currently still in profit on our Chainlink trade. We're even on the BTC trade, but this Chainlink one, we can say we're looking to take some profit at around $17.40. We did make a 25% gain on our Solana. Guys, the platform we use is BingX. They're doing a free airdrop. There's 12 spots left. If you want a free airdrop and you want to do leverage trading on one of the top platforms in the space, use the link in the description of this video.
Also helps the channel as well. So
yeah, helps channel. And so, you know, guys, you haven't seen a project-specific review video from us, and there's reason for that is because, you know, we just bring you the good stuff, man. We bring the good stuff, and if we do reviews or highlight projects, it's because we vetted them immensely, and we feel like it could bring some value to the community. So big shout out to all of you that did sign up and got your free airdrop. I did speak to BingX. They're expecting to drop those later today or over the next 48 hours. So curious to see what you guys get, man, because they wouldn't tell me what you're getting. So a little mystery.
Well, you can there's 12 more spots. So.
12 more spots. Yeah. That's it. All right. Guys, also follow us on Twitter. We're at Sin City Crypto 1. And check out our video dropping in about 10 minutes. It goes to members first. So if you're a paying member of this channel, you will get early access to all of our afternoon upload videos. And if you're not a member, you want to support the channel and get early access, just click that join button on your phone, or there's a link in the description of this video. You can click that as well. And then one more shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. And with that being said, in honor of the snow tornado, I forget which state it was in. Was it in Utah? There was a snow tornado.
Oh, jeez.
Today's tornado is inspired by snow.
I refuse to press the button.
I won't like a trombone sound effect or
they wouldn't have that.
Dying cat. You got a dying cat. Dying cat sound effect.
Anyways, Rocco. Snow is fluffy.
Stop it!
What are you doing?
Oh my God. Cue the music.
Okay, do your thing.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you had a great time. We hope you got some great information and knowledge out of today's show. Come back tomorrow for an even better show. We love you guys. On behalf of all of us here, see you tomorrow. Peace.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us meme coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.